I think at first, I mean, I could see that there was something in it, you know, because normally when I see scripts like this, I just sort of turn them away and laugh at them. You know what I mean? Those kind of like really masculine, silly sort of black and white dramas, you know, where a bunch of guys with beards versus some square-jawed American dudes. It didn't feel like that at all. But there was something in this that I kind of thought I could work from, and I like, you know, there were things that were being said in it that I could, you know, that I was kind of supportive of, and kind of felt that, you know, it was doing it in the right way. It was saying something. There was a massive challenge with it being pretty much my first sort of serious kind of dramatic part, really. I've done a lot of sort of comedy before, and that's different, you know, and that's equally as challenging, but there's not a lot floating around, which is why when something like this sort of came about, you have to kind of grasp an opportunity when it's there to kind of show that you can do other things. So the men who did this to me last night, yeah? They were acting for you then, were they? What are you going to do about it?
How are you saying that happened?
Well, you live in, you don't know how to torture people.
You're making an allegation?
What's he saying, you don't believe me?
I didn't say that.
For the audition, I felt very strongly that he should be articulate, but not well-spoken. On the page originally, it was quite sort of well-spoken, and I didn't feel that sort of rang true. I'm a British citizen, and it's your job to look after my constitutional rights.
You'll have your rights respected, Mr. Ahmed, but you also have to answer our questions.
You're instructed to investigate allegations of torture against UK citizens. Am I right? So I just, you know, went in there and did my revised version, and Guy was in the room. I didn't know, because Neil started asking me about, like, oh, why did you change it? That's interesting. And I was like, well, you know, I mean, I thought the writer was this, and he was like, oh, really? The writer's right here. And then sort of Guy appears from behind his shoulder, like, oh. So that was awkward, but, you know, he was good, because we kind of had a dialogue about it, and he was really receptive to them. Rule number 3 says you got to withdraw from the interview if you know that torture or inhuman or degrading treatment has been conducted. Angry young man is how I would describe the lead. I did connect to him in a way, you know, because he isn't one of those sort of outright bearded bad guys. I mean, he hasn't done anything illegal. There's nothing he's done wrong. And, you know, you have to kind of have a bit of empathy for a character. And also that kind of genuine harassment that, you know, someone like him would experience. I mean, I experienced it, you know, when I went to Sundance with 4 Lions the first time. You know, we went through Detroit, you know, and I was sort of, a lot of us were taken to one side and, you know, really sort of racially profiled, really. It's something that's kind of prevalent, and, you know, as years go by, it's just like a commonplace thing. Someone like him or someone like me can just be sort of stopped, and everyone just sort of, you know, goes, yeah, well, you know, he is that ilk, you know, he does look like that guy, you know. But yeah, I mean, the relationship between them, obviously, yeah, Edward being the system and him sort of being trapped in it, I think it just unfolds in real time, and they find each other's sort of weaknesses, and they become these kind of two sort of, you know, animals sort of prowling and sort of, you know, circling each other and sort of figuring, you know, where the buttons are and stuff, as you see in the scene.
What is it about us that makes you hate us so much?
I just want my country to be healed.
Healed?
Yeah, you deaf or something. Yeah, healed. In those scenes, actually, in the interrogation scenes, I actually made myself ill. I got home and, you know, after finishing them, and literally my stomach was in knots, and I just couldn't sort of relax and unwind. It's because it's a different kind of thing, especially with a scene like that, which is like a 14, 15-page scene, that you have to kind of maintain this level of intensity, and you can't sort of do what you do in a comedy and sort of, you know, break off in between takes and have a laugh with everyone and then sort of come into it again, an easy way into it. It kind of felt like I had to, you know, we all had to sort of maintain that level of intensity, so I'd have to sort of, you know, go off into a room and just sort of shut down and stuff, you know, and kind of keep that level, because the camera's not always on you. So, you know, out of a long day of shooting, you really have to be on it when it sort of turns around onto you, especially with something like this, you know. Yeah, I mean, it does bring up interesting things about, you know, is torture ever sort of justified? You know, whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty, you know, all the kind of violations of, you know, human rights and sort of UN charters, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's all in there, you know, and it's all very valid. You know, it's quite a sort of insight into a murky world that isn't kind of glossy spooks kind of thing, you know, isn't, you know, guys running around saving the day. It kind of, this is the groundwork. You see Edwards in those dingy flats surveilling, and, you know, it's quite a slow burn, and it kind of, you know, it demands your attention.
Turnover.
How did I find the shooting process? I mean, we did a lot of rehearsals, which is, you know, you don't always get. So that was nice, you know, we were sort of in the offices. We had David there and Neil and Guy and Stephen Cameron Moore as well. I've not worked with David before, but obviously I was aware of his work, you know, Planet of the Apes and Last King of Scotland. You know, but Stephen I'd worked with before, Stephen Cameron Moore. So that was kind of nice, you know, to know that I had also had someone in the room who I'd worked with before and who was, you know, up for playing around. And, you know, and we were all just sort of going through the script, and, you know, they were making changes as well. They were fighting for bits that they felt were right, you know. But it all ended up being great, you know, on the day, because everyone was really respectful of everyone's process. Like, we weren't all chatty sallies in between and sort of, you know, chatting about and whatever. We were all sort of respectful of, you know, you need to go off from here, you need to go off from there, you need to do this, and then we all meet and we're on it. But Neil was quite sort of receptive to having ideas, like, you know, in the rehearsal process. You know, I actually have a lot to thank him for, because he fought my corner on a lot of things. You know, and that's nice to have, you know, someone who trusts your interpretation of the character and trusts your input into the actual script. That's another thing as well, like, you know, with makeup as well. You know, sometimes you don't get a say on that kind of stuff, you know, it kind of comes down from producers, you know, downwards and whatever. But it was nice to, on this one, to have real sort of input in it. I mean, Stephanie, who did the costume, you know, she was up for it because she knew that I was coming from a sort of genuine viewpoint, things that I'd sort of seen from my own experiences of people like Waleed or whatever. And makeup-wise, yeah, I mean, I based it on someone who I knew of, you know, just that kind of look of the kind of, you know, sort of close-cropped hair, and, you know, he had a very distinctive scar. And I sort of took a sneaky picture to Catherine, you know, and showed her the scar on the eye and stuff, and we managed to sort of get that in. It's kind of nice as well, because you immediately put your stamp on something, and you immediately feel in control of it, and sort of, you know, you believe in it more yourself when you look at, you know, at yourself in the mirror kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're sort of lunchtime in your trailer and you sort of catch a glimpse of yourself, no hair and scar and stuff, and, you know, it does kind of freak you out, but then you think, yeah, that's right.